we have Sunita Shenoy. She is another amazing one. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to quickly introduce her. She has just an extensive amount of experience in Intel. Intel, their chips, their processing, and their capabilities has been core to the journey of technology for as long as I can remember in my 15 plus career. And the work that she has done there is just so telling. And what she could talk about today about industrial transformation during this time of COVID will allow us all to see the impact and hear from her wisdom and experience in that space. Thank you so much, Sunita. We are all looking forward to your talk. Glad you made it into the session. Sorry about that. And if you want to try to share your screen, we can make sure we see slides if you have them.
Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Sunita Shenoy, as Nicole introduced me. I work for Intel Corporation. I'm responsible for the industrial Internet of Things technologies. By trade, I've been in this technology world for almost 3 decades. I started as a silicon design engineer, and my career grew from there to multiple types of roles, from product management to business leader. I've been through multiple industry transformations, and this one is the most exciting. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and hello everyone around the world, whatever time it is. I hope you and your family are staying safe. So what I want to talk about is the Industrial Revolution. Every 100 years or so, there is an Industrial Revolution. That means there's a massive economic impact based on the technologies that are coming into the manufacturing space. In the 1700s, it was about coal and steam. In the 1800s, it was about electrification. In the 1900s, it was about bringing computing and communications to the manufacturing. And it has a ripple effect into all the entire infrastructure around it, from supply chain to manufacturing to consumerization. So this is what we call as the Industrial Revolution. Today, we are in the fourth revolution. This is the fusion of physical and digital paradigms. What I mean by that is Internet of Things has become not a hype, it is a reality in all our daily lives. If you see around you the use of smartphones, smart TVs, smart thermostats, smart refrigerators, everything is smart. And how do you make it smart? By Internet of Things. For example, you can connect a sensor, right? If you in case of a smart thermostat, a sensor for sensing the temperature in your house, and you can use your smartphone to control the thermostat based on the sensor of the temperature of the house. That's Internet of Things. You can connect anything to the internet or a local server and make data-driven decisions on specific actions. That paradigm also applies to manufacturing. And we are already here, right? The combination of information technologies that the IT industry is focusing on, such as remote software-defined remote access collaboration tools that we're using right now as an example of an IT technologies, to an operational technologies like the HVAC system I just talked about. The thermostat system is a mechanical system. That's operational technologies. In the factories, these are equipments, the equipments that assemble goods or do molds of, create certain goods. So the paradigm of IT and OT combining together is really what we call as the Industrial 4.0. So the technology exists today because the cost of sensors, the cost of computing, the cost of communication has all, has become so sophisticated, as well as the costs have come down. So it is completely possible to make this happen. However, the barriers are the people and the processes that is holding back the progress of adoption of 4.0. If you think about a human being, we all think about how can I make my life incrementally better today, right? I'm comfortable in the way I do things today. What can I do incrementally to make my life better, right? Even in my own household, when smartphones became a reality, and my husband and I both work for the tech industry, And it took us a long time to get to it, to purchase a smartphone, because we were so used to our Blackberries or the other kind of phone. So it's really the mindset of the people on how incrementally they're thinking to make their lives and productivity better versus thinking futuristically on how can I plan for the future. That really is a barrier. And then the processes, right? Why break something that's working? Particularly in manufacturing and factories, if it's a factory in operational mode for tens and hundreds of years, why break it until something goes wrong, like this pandemic right now? And that's what I'm here to talk about. So if you look around you, I mean, you can look, this is all public information, but we're also been doing a lot of research within Intel as well as our customers and partners. Manufacturing is paused along with every other industry around us, right? And the initial phase of COVID, where around the March time frame, where the entire world came to a standstill, the operations were paused, factories were paused, corporations were paused. Uh, we were trying to deal with the situation. We were not sending our employees to work. We still are in that phase in most countries. Has caused a clear need for a worker shortage. Already manufacturing has a huge gap on skills because the working force in the factories are aging, and this COVID has really accelerating the skills gap. Many of the decisions that are going to happen post COVID is that people are going to start retiring. We're seeing layoffs and furloughs because the factories are closing down. The health of our employees are super important. How do I send an employee in the phase 0 or phase 1 or phase 2 and keep them safe and healthy? That is number one on every business owner's minds. And the most important part of it is demand. If you look at how manufacturing companies across sectors are making decisions, it's based on demand, right? So if you think about it, those of you who live in the United States, we went through phases of consumer goods hoarding, right? In the first step, there were people hoarding for some reason toilet papers and hand sanitizers and Clorox wipes and so on. In another phase, we were beginning to hoard baking goods because everybody's working from home. The families are home. They're getting creative. Everybody's a chef at heart. So there was a short supply of baker's yeast and bread flour. Then came to the phase where we were shopping like mad for grooming supplies because there were no services available outside. So we were becoming the hairdressers and so on. So that supply or demand was never forecasted. So hence manufacturing could not fathom how to forecast of those products you know, could not never have planned for this kind of a pandemic disruption, right? So that really has an implication on manufacturing being paused. Then there's supply and logistics. If your raw materials are sourced from a geography where there are flights have been stopped, the shipments have been stopped, you are screwed up, right? I mean, you don't have raw materials to produce the goods you need. And last but not least, the customers we've talked to are struggling with the lack of access to data. They need data to make the right decisions. Which lines do I pause? Which factories do I pause? Where do I put more emphasis on? Which ones are more productive? So lack of visibility into data is making them realize that they really need to start retooling their processes. What I just talked about as a barrier for Industrial 4.0 transformation. There's a humongous realization today that we need to start retooling people and processes. Automation is on top of everybody's minds. If you even look around you in the hospitals, in the airports, we're beginning to see service robots. In the factories, we're beginning to see more robots. And the companies and manufacturing owners are beginning to automate the processes. Then there is a phase where we are already doing equipment repurposing. With the short supply of masks, for example, facial masks and personal protection equipment, a lot of the factories, because not their core business, started to repurpose their equipment to create masks and ventilator supplies and so on. They're beginning to strategically plan how they source their suppliers, and so they have more flexibility in their supply chain, so they don't get screwed up in when the demand surges. Remote working was unheard about in a manufacturing plant. We've had people flying all around the world in factories to manage the factory operations. Now we're seeing that even in our own factories, Intel is a large manufacturing company as well, and we supply to a lot of our customers. We are reinventing or reimagining the future of work. Our engineers have become so innovative just in the last 2 months that we are seeing that remote access to a factory to do debug or problem solving, it's highly possible. This event could not have been possible without the collaboration tools that exist today or evolving as we learn the kinks of this tool. So there is a new way of working that is emerging even for the manufacturing plants. And last but not least is worker health and safety was always a concern for manufacturers. The workers in the factories are one of their main assets. So functional safety was a critical aspect of it, and now this really has become significantly more heightened sense of urgency. So Internet of Things is solving a lot of these challenges. Along with Intel being Intel, we have a large ecosystem of suppliers and value chain and partners from software vendors to technology vendors. And in just 1 month, we had so many different innovation come through. For example, with a company called Kinesics, I may be saying their name wrong, but there was a distancing solution created for social distancing people in factories and contact tracing if they were COVID positive. Then we saw then we saw mobile CT scan solution for monitoring the infections of the lungs. These were mobile equipment, so to overcome the shortage of hospital beds and hospital equipment. We had factories like our partners of Innovance in China. They began to create quality control of mask generation. Right, there was so much demand for masks. There is still a demand for masks in the world that there was a short supply of masks, and it was really important to improve the yield and the quality of the masks coming through the factories and the output of the factories, that they began to apply Intel's AI technologies and partnered with us to produce masks as fast as possible with the highest productivity. Then there was autonomous robots in hospitals. These are service robots. You see it in hospitals, you see it in airports, you see it in all areas where you can avoid human contact for essential supplies. So amazing innovations, and there are hundreds more coming. So industrial IoT, this is what we've been preaching for the last, I have been in this particular business for the last 4 years, and we've been preaching to the world on what is industrial Internet of Things and how it impacts the business. And here we're already seeing that impact. So if you think about any business, and in particularly manufacturing, a business owner of a manufacturing company, there are 4 KPIs that they care about. Number 1, productivity. How do I get my products to market faster and with larger volumes, capacity? How do I make sure my products are top quality as to retain my brand name or create a brand name, and that counterfeit products are not eating my lunch. Safety of paramount important. Safety was always a concern in all of this mechanical equipment. There's a lot of challenges of fires in a utility plant or in an automated system. If a robot can go haywire, it could cause a human life to be endangered. So that's of utmost importance. And then cost reduction, right? Every business owner thinks about how do I reduce my costs, overall cost from CapEx or operational costs. All of this is possible today with the technologies we have, which is called industrial Internet of Things technologies, artificial intelligence, right, can be used to improve both the productivity of your products as well as quality of your products. Virtualized technologies that IT paradigm uses, virtualization, security, manageability, all of them can be used to use a software approach to remote managing factories and updating software, reconfiguring the factories, right? So it's really important technologies that are becoming realized today. Functional safety, in a layman term, functional safety is, think about when you're driving a car and because of an operator error, you press the accelerator instead of the brake, and the car needs to go realize that there's an operation error and fail safe. So fail safe is what is functional safety. And that's a technology solution way of making sure the equipment that, when it malfunctions, it doesn't endanger human lives. That's called functional safety. Connectivity and time-sensitive networking. So the data that we feed through our network of devices is deterministic and actionable in the real time. Okay, so these are all technologies that really are available today, solutions from our partners to drive all of these business outcomes. Next, I want to talk about a report out from McKinsey and Company. They've done a lot of research and they're continuing to research the impact of COVID-19. And if you look at every business or every manufacturing, including ours, there is a journey to the next normal, right? So we all are thinking at work is, what is the next normal? Do I want to continue working from home? Is this working for me? Is this productive, or would I rather be in an office? So the first phase was always resolve, right? Quickly get our act together, make sure your employees are safe, understand what the challenges are, resilience, prioritize what your most important, assets are, KPIs are, business priorities, and then start to focus on how do we return to the normal, right? What are the steps we need to take to the phase approach of bringing back the economy to normal or the business to normal? And then there is the reimagination. What about the future? How can we mitigate such risks in future? What people and processes and tools should we reinvent today, or so we don't run to the same situation in future? And then reform, right? We have to reform our processes and our thinking across the corporation or across the business. And this is true for pretty much all businesses, but this is utmost important for manufacturing because it is the cornerstone of, or the center of the industrial revolution. So this is my last slide. I leave you with a quote from Andy Grove. He was the father or one of the founding members of the Silicon Valley, the founder of Intel Corporation, which I'm a proud employee of for almost 3 decades. I had the good fortune of meeting him in my early years at Intel, and he wrote a book called "Only the Paranoid Survive." And his quote is, "Bad companies are destroyed by crisis. Good companies survive them. Great companies are improved by them." So I leave you with this quote, and I'll pause here for any questions that you may have.
Thank you for
time. I went really fast to make up time.
No, you were great. Let's see if there's any questions. Any questions for Sunita? Put it in the panel. I'll help that get over to you. Great quote on from Andy, a true pioneer. We see so much innovation. Everyone I know from working at Cisco that I've partnered with at Intel has been so intelligent. And again, watching the innovation come out of there. All right, let's see. Connections made. Great comments. A lot of thanks for you here. Any questions? Any questions as we wrap up? All right, let me put your LinkedIn for you. Is that the best way that you want people to contact you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
All right. And then this is you, just making sure, doing a lot on IoT. This is the second IoT session we had today. We had Dr. Mei Wang also talking about it from Palo Alto. So again, this is Nicole. I'm your host. I just put her link to her LinkedIn to help you out, since you can't do we don't have 5 arms to click on all the things.
Yeah,
To
I can't see the chat
Yes,
window, so if there's any
I got
questions,
you.
someone read out to me.
Yes,
Yeah. Mhm.
I put her link in there twice so that you can connect with her on LinkedIn. And this is kind of wrapping our day here, just seeing how we can use technology to change the world that we live in and to get through this crisis or any more that may come, and hopefully overcome it. And it's a theme through also Liesel's presentation on AI. It's just all of these technologies coming together. And as we wrap kind of this main stage for today, thinking about how all these stars aligned, getting ourselves centered, contributing to the pairing of AI to be more open to letting us live our lives, and the capabilities we have here to use technology through things like COVID, or like I said, anything that may happen. So do you have any other final thoughts, Sunita? We don't seem to have very many questions coming in.
No, I don't have any final thoughts. Maybe I do one, right? Embrace change, right? Or be the change you want to see in the work, right? So just before COVID happened, I happened to speak at a conference on the future of work, and there was a big debate on, hey, butts in seats is the mindset of corporations, where if you're not in the office, you're not productive, right? And the same people who were debating against it, even internally to my organization, is rethinking that quote is, hey, does productivity really need to be where we sit? I'm seeing that my employees are far more productive in this environment than they have in the past, because they spend a lot of time traveling between the countries and sites, and now we are more accessible, the level playing field, the technology is really great. It's evolving. So it's really possible, change is possible. Embrace change. When technology transformations happen, you need to start retooling yourself, right? I've been working for almost 30 years now, and I'm reinventing, retooling myself constantly to stay at the top of the edge, right? So
Yes.
a stagnant in the way you do work is not going to get you very far.
Great. That is so true. So we just want to thank you so much. Let's give it up for Sunita. Before everyone leaves, I have a few calls to action just to keep the conversation going. This is only the first day of an amazing conference. We've seen so many talks and have so many great energies around, like I said, the spectrum of things that really make our field the place to be. I encourage you to go out and search the hashtag on social, WTGC 2020. I put that in the chat. Use the networking areas of the event while it's open and hop in to connect to people. It's been awesome seeing, I'm sure, Sunita, you've seen this as well, people connecting to you from all over the world, where we can continue to share our passions. And then lastly, come back tomorrow, log in. It's going to be more amazing speakers and technical sessions. So meanwhile, just use the networking area to connect. I would love to connect with you as well and just keep the conversation going. I've been live tweeting from Tech Diva Success. So I'm trying to get caught up. I'll get one out soon for this session. And thank you again. And thank you all. You're all part of this.
Yeah.
It takes everybody to make this event amazing. And thanks to Anna and Ivo, who's been helping on the technical side, on our whole team, for putting together this wonderful conference, and our sponsors. So make sure you spend some time on the sponsors and in the career area, and just make sure you're maximizing your time on Hopin to connect and to make this worth it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Yep.
Day one. Let's go out and celebrate with a little social media. Thank you again to some of our sponsors that you see here from VMware, Twitter, Charles Schwab, lots of those. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Sunita. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. One love. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.